or you just have a couple, but I'd like to share 10 easy ones with you that you can at least get started. I have about 170 house plants, and no, I'm not a hoarder of plants. I just like things green, and I never get sick, and my air is always very clean in my house. So I highly suggest this to you. Okay, number one, we have a Sansevieria, or a snake plant. I can see a couple people's faces. Everyone know what this is? Can you see it? Look how cool the leaves are. Very striated. These plants can get up to about 4 feet tall. They're very slow growing. They like to be root bound in the pot, so we can basically ignore this plant. They need to be watered once a month, and they can be put in a closet and still live. Yay, what a great plant. And they're the #1 air filter for your house. So they come in yellow stripes and green stripes and white stripes and all white and really short. And they make little babies and they're easy to propagate. So I'm here to answer any of your questions about a snake plant. Anybody?
If I may jump in ahead of everybody. How big does the closet have to be? Because I'm happy to throw my plants in the closet and have them survive.
Yeah, so, I have about 35 snake plants here, different varieties, and I can fit them all in your closet. I'm sure of it.
Good to know.
All right. Any other questions on a snake plant? So super easy. This would be your #1 house plant to start with. And they're very popular. They were popular in the 70s. I know my mom had a lot of these plants, and now I probably have a collection of about 20 different ones myself. So snake plants.
Hi, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
How do you go about, we have one, but how would you go about propagating it?
Oh yes, pretty easy. So you would take a cutting on the leaf. Let's see, can you see? I would take a cutting right on the leaf. I'd put a little bit of water in the bottom of a clear like mason jar, and I'd set it in there and it'll start to make roots, and then
So change the water like every few days?
Every couple of days. You'll see it get a little murky. I would say I probably do it once a week.
Cool.
And the other thing you can do is you can actually break off a whole piece with a tuber down at the bottom and replant it that way.
And then how long should you wait before you put it back in the soil?
Until the roots are about 6 inches long.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Then they'll root. Okay, you're welcome. All right, ready for another one?
Yes.
Okay. Here we have the EZZ plant. Look at how cool and waxy those leaves are. Very cool, right? This plant also can live in a closet. So very dark circumstances, and water once a month. So they like to be dry. Thoroughly water them. So perfect low light plant. We call it the EZZ. The real name is Zamifolia. Zamiculus zamifolia, which it's much easier to say, the EZZ. So shiny leaves, 2 feet tall. It's a ground cover in Florida, but not here. That would be your second plant to put on your list, okay? Any questions about the ZZ plant? Hopefully you guys can see these.
Is it a thinner leaf? I can't tell.
Well, the snake plant has a really tall, hard leaf, and this has a very, very shiny. See how shiny it is?
I couldn't tell if it was like a thick, juicy leaf or if it was a thin.
Yeah, no, it's a thicker leaf, but very shiny.
Amy, there is a question back to the snake plant.
Yeah.
Hallie or Haley, I'm not sure. Says, hi, I water my snake weekly. Am I overwatering?
Depends on if it's in a really small pot and you maybe have a water meter. Once a week is probably too much for your plant unless it's excessively root bound. So I would try to push it at least 2 to 3 weeks before you water again. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and then what
Okay.
do you just wait and see how that goes and then
Yeah, and if you take your finger and go down to your knuckle and stick it into the soil, if the soil's dry, water. If the soil's not dry, don't water. You can also look at the bottom of the plant pots if you have them in pots with holes, plastic pots, and you can see the color of the soil on the bottom. If it's darker, don't water. If it's light, then typically it means it's dry.
so you should have in a vase or not a vase, a pot that drains from the bottom.
All plants need a hole.
Okay.
Whether it's a clay pot, most of my plants are in clay pots because they tend to dry out faster, which I'm okay with that. I know they'll dry out before I water again. And I can see the color in the clay pot turn from dark terracotta color to a lighter color, and I know they're dry. So, all right.
All right.
I have a quick question again. Sorry.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on those watering balls? Like if you just fill it up and like set it and forget it? Yes, no?
I'd say they're pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty. And I would use something like that if I was going away and for an extended period of time and I didn't think that anyone was going to be around to water. I would definitely use a watering ball or something called the plant nanny, where it can take a 2-liter recycled bottle of water, or just set them in a tray of water, thoroughly water them and put them in the shade for while you're gone. Otherwise, I wouldn't use those
Okay.
on a regular basis.
Good to know. Thanks.
No. Any other questions? No? Okay. Next plant, peace lily. Peace lily's actual name, other name is a closet plant. It has, I'm like, I see. Is this better? Everyone probably knows a peace lily, right?
Yep.
Now, peace lily can take indirect to low light. If you have it in no light, like a closet, as this flower will be dark green. It'll still flower, but it won't get a white flower. It'll get a green flower. They need to be watered, but this plant tells you when to be watered. So water more than once a month, but probably once a week. When you get home and all your leaves lay down like this, means that the plant needs water and it bounces right back up. So very easy, low light plant. Questions?
Amy,
Yeah.
have you seen the memes that are out there these days about drama plants? And
Yes.
look at the plants and all the leaves are dead.
We're not going to talk about drama queens today. I'd be happy at the end to show you we're doing non-drama queens today. Okay. And I know these are simple plants, so if some of you probably have all these, we will get to some other harder plants. Let's see. All right, let's do this. The blue star fern. Look how pretty. Look at this fabulous color on this fern. And look, you see this leaf? Hold on, let me get one. What does it look like? It looks like one of those hands that you hold up at a sporting game, you know, the #1 finger, like, go team. So this is not a drama queen fern. Anyone know what a maidenhair fern is? Hey, Maggie. Let me grab one. Hold on. Okay. This is a maidenhair fern. This is a drama queen. This is a fern that you'll have really hard time keeping alive. I guarantee it. And if you don't, good on you, buy every plant. You can buy every plant if you can keep this one alive. However, blue star fern is a fern that you can handle. It needs to be watered weekly. It doesn't like to be overwatered. It can take the dark. It can take indirect light. It doesn't like full sunlight. It will get 1 foot tall, 1 foot wide. Very easy. Isn't it pretty though? Pretty foliage. So blue star fern. See, I just spilled soil all over myself. All right. How about the plant that's in every photo? Monstera. Right? Everyone have a monstera? Come on, who I can see. Anyone have a monstera? No? you're scared of the name. It's like a monster plant. It grows really big. So don't feel the need to ever buy one in a 10-inch, 12-inch, 14-inch pot and have this giant plant. You can start in a 6-inch. They will grow fast. You can even take a leaf right down here at the base, cut it and put it in water. It looks beautiful in a bud vase. They need indirect light, but look at how cool those leaves are. They're all shiny. The Monstera, the name comes from the Latin meaning of abnormal. Find abnormal. Abnormal because it gets these little holes in it. And as it gets bigger, it gets more and more holes. So that's where the name Monstera comes from. If you want to be fancy and be like, oh, that's the abnormal plant. Let's see. Heart
I've never seen
sun.
that one before, Amy. Do you think
No,
it's a common house plant? I've never. If I saw one with big holes in it, I would think that they were doing something terribly wrong.
oh no, it's if you went on, I mean, it's very popular. If you Google houseplant, it's on like sheets and pillows and everything to do with houseplant. Monstera is like the #1 popular plant right now.
Wow. Okay. Good to know.
So yeah, but again, they grow fast and they grow big. So don't start big. Unnecessary. All right. Yes, it's in the philodendron family for sure. Okay. Anyone know who this is? Escargot begonia. It's a Rex begonia. It's the most popular Rex begonia. It gets its name because of the snail shape of its leaf right there. So Rex begonias like indirect light. They like to be watered. I try to water from the bottom of the pot. Okay, they do like clay pots, water at the base once a week. They have beautiful red stems. This is a great plant to add if you're doing shade planters for outside. You could buy these Rex begonias. They come in all different foliage colors, bright red, lime greens. Add them into your planters outside for the summer and then bring them back in for the winter. So you're not totally throwing your annuals away. Cool plant.
I never maybe I've seen it, but I've certainly never heard the name. I think I would have remembered that.
Yeah, they're really pretty. So indirect light on these. They don't want full sun. All right. How about a rubber plant? Anyone ever see a rubber plant? Usually with purple leaves, but this is a new variety called Taniki. It only gets 2 feet tall. It almost looks like a watercolor painting, right? It has pink and white and green. They grow fairly slow. They need a little more light, but again, water maybe once a week, you know, stick your finger in there, see if they're dry. Rubber plants, they come, like I said, in dark purple was the most common one. And then now there's all these variegated varieties, but this is the newest of all of them because of the pink vein down the middle. Okay. We're going to a little more light. Pancake plant, Chinese money plant, coin plant, all of these things. That's what this is called. It's Pilea peperomodes. Got it? Chinese money plant, much easier. This plant makes babies. Let's see. I'm gonna lift these leaves up. You see there's a little baby right there. See that little baby right there?
Yeah.
So I could dig my fingers right in there, take that baby out and give it to you. And you could have a new plant like this in about 4 weeks.
Wow.
So it's a great plant to have if you're into sharing plants with other people and they can say, oh, I got this plant from so-and-so. Indirect light, Water once a week when it's dry. As this plant grows, it'll get a really thick stem and get like a tree on top. And at that point, I let the babies grow and fill in at the bottom. I'll give you a hint. This is the plant we're giving away today.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I guess it'd be wrong if I won, Amy. That wouldn't
Huh?
be. It'd kind of be wrong if I won.
I can save one for you.
I know. I'll pay full price.
Anyone have any questions on the plants that we talked about so far? The blue star fern, the super easy fern, the rubber
Anna
trees.
has a question.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have the pancake plant. And
Yes.
it initially turned yellow. What could be the reason?
The reason could be too much water, possibly. But if you're telling me that it's not too much water, then once the plant gets root bound, which if I take this out, look at that. They get root bound very fast. So this plant is ready to go to a bigger pot size.
Okay.
So some of the leaves would turn yellow, and that's basically because it's not getting enough water because it's
Okay.
root bound in the pot.
Okay.
And if you lose just a few of the bottom leaves, it's just natural.
Okay.
It's not. I guess the other thing you guys should do is, because the winter is nearing an end, right? Spring is here, I hope.
Yes.
Fertilizer. Anyone have a slow release fertilizer? Like a very even 12, 12, 12, 14, 14, 14, all purpose fertilizer. These plants, if you have a slow release fertilizer, all house plants want to be done once every 3 months. And now is the perfect time to start that. A slow release will, well, for people who have other things to do in their world other than take care of their house plants, it's a good thing just to sprinkle on the top like salt and pepper. And then, you know, every time you water for 3 months, it will fertilize. Otherwise, we like to use the Neptune's fish emulsion fertilizer, which I know you've probably, if you've been to any of the big greenhouses or the New York Botanical Gardens, they'll put signs up that say, "Excuse the smell, we have been fertilizing today." And yes, I will advise you, if you're going to do that, do it outside with your plants in the summer, not inside. My husband thought I made lobster bisque that went wrong this winter, so I won't do that again.
That's a good reason to go out to dinner, though. Yep, that's what it is.
Yes. I'm like, oh no.
Amy?
Yeah, go
Go
ahead.
ahead, finish what you
No.
were saying.
No, go ahead.
Someone had asked a question about the philodendron family. How about planting that in the ground?
Well, you could certainly plant them in the ground, but if you don't dig them up in September and bring them in the house, they won't live. They won't make it. Okay. It's definitely a house plant. You know, if we were in Florida or we were in California or New Zealand or Africa or someplace with different climate, we could plant them outside.
Okay.
Thank you,
Okay.
Amy.
Yeah, no problem. Okay. Dun dun. Not tipping all the soil over. How about this guy? Philodendron Birkin. Ooh, this is a very new and rare plant, probably less rare than it was a couple months ago because it's now hit the market. But what's great about this plant is it's in the philodendron family, therefore it's really easy. The leaves are very waxy. If it's shaded, you can see the leaves underneath are green, and as it gets more sun, they become more variegated like that. You can't kill this plant unless you never water it. Again, water maybe once every 10 days, indirect light, let it be. Philodendron. Everyone needs one of these. They only get a foot tall. They're super easy.
That's what I need. I've never been really good with
No.
green thumbs.
Oh, come on, hold on. You have
Okay.
this plant. Let's see, let me grab these.
I've got a dying basil plant over my sink right now. Amy.
Well, basil doesn't want to be inside.
I know.
But at least you're trying to, baby it along. Just eat it faster.
Yeah, I gotta get.
Yeah. Pothos, philodendron. Come on. If you don't have any plants, this is the plant. I could cut this little piece right here off.
Ooh.
Oh, stick it in some water, and in a couple of weeks, have another plant that you can have. You can't kill this plant unless you over baby it. Okay, don't overwater it. So that's a philodendron. How about this? This is neon pothos. Woo, it's the other plant to the one I just showed you, but it's bright lime green. Isn't that pretty? Some people say, oh, does it need fertilizer? I'm like, no, it's just that color. But this would be great to add to shade containers as well outside and grow down like a creeping Jenny or a sweet potato vine. Use this and then bring it back in the house. All right. Any questions on that guy? I really want to know how many people have a lot of plants. I think Anna does. Anna does.
She's not saying.
She's shaking her head. She doesn't want to say how many.
Yeah, I have some. Yeah.
I just have to admit, in my newly found Zoom duties, realized people joined in a little late that weren't admitted.
Okay.
Put 3 more people in, and I'm just so sorry. I am learning as I go here, and that was a fail on my part.
Well, we can go back. We can go back.
Maybe a
We're just
recap.
kind of reviewing. Yes.
A recap will be great.
Okay. Peperomia.
Is that number 10?
Yeah, this is number 10, but we're going to go. Maggie, my lovely assistant, who's on the other side of the store, is going to bring me a couple more of these because this seems to be the hot plant of the year. Peperomia raindrop has a very large waxy leaf. You know, waxy leaves are one thing I look for when I say EZZ plants. If a plant has a waxy leaf, it tends to take a little less maintenance than a plant that has a non-waxy leaf. See, she's back, drama queen. We're here. So peperomia are a fabulous plant. This is raindrop. It will max out at 12 to 15 inches tall. Thanks, Maggie. And it just has these fabulous, large, shiny leaves. I mean, you just can't beat this for a plant. The original peperomia looks like this, which is pretty. So much better. This guy, all right? These leaves are very easily propagated. I just learned this trick. You can take this big leaf right here. You can take a little clipping right here, lay it in a glass like Tupperware container and put a lid on it and keep it in the window. And in a couple of weeks, you'll grow roots right out of the base of the leaf. Don't go into a garden center and start plucking leaves either.
Well, I'll be
still called theft. I just pick them up off the ground. Another peperomia. Look at this one. It's got pink leaves, like, and these are the flowers. Ooh. So this one's called Rainbow. Also has waxy leaves. This one's called Rotundifolia. Has waxy leaves, but variegated leaves. And really, so I'm looking at your room right there, Val, and you have, these would do great in your light conditions.
I've got some plants.
They'd be perfect.
Thank you. Anna has a question. Her hand is up.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So for Amy, I had like regular peperomia, but it's not growing much, and then it drops its leaves sometimes.
Okay, so move it to a little bit more light and make sure it's very dry before you water it again.
Okay.
When, you know, when you buy a house plant, do you bring it home and put it in a new pot right away?
No.
No. So how long have you had that plant for?
You know what? It's been like a year, I think. It has done a little bit better. It has just, somebody gave it to me like clippings, I guess. So they
Yeah.
are just two things. So
is it in a little pot, like that big if it's 2 clippings, or is it in like a 4-inch pot?
I think it's a 4-inch pot.
I bet you the pot's too big.
Okay.
Because that's the next thing we were going to talk about.
Okay.
Is when you have a house plant, if this 6-inch house plant was root bound and needed to go up a size, it would go to a 7-inch pot,
Okay.
not a 10-inch pot. If you have a small plant in a large amount of potting soil, it'll rot and die. Well, maybe it won't rot, maybe it'll dry out, but all the nutrients and the water and everything will just be sitting in the bare soil and never reach the plant. So they need to be, tucked in and cozy in their pots. So never go more than 1 inch bigger in your pots when you transplant. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Look at this. This is another variegated peperomia, but this one's going to grow down and trail. Part shade peperomia scandens is this one. And the trick is really to let your, what happened? Let your plants dry out and then water again. Plants want their roots to look for water, not be babied all the time. This goes for all plants in the house, in the ground, let them dry out, tell you they're thirsty, and then water again. Okay. And moisture meters do help. When you get into a big plant situation, as your plants get bigger, you may say, oh, I watered that like a whole gallon last week. It's probably fine, but you stick your finger in the top 2 inches and it seems dry. But I guarantee you that the bottom is still wet. So moisture meters are like $10. Just stick it in there and that's it.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Can you get that at your store?
Oh yeah. We have moisture meters. We have fertilizers. Sorry, I should be selling you guys.
Yes.
Right? Yes, we have lots of containers and plants. And all the accoutrements you need. And we get houseplants 4 times a week, along with other perennials and shrubs. So
good to know. I had a couple of questions just as you were going.
yeah.
I want you to wait until you're finished. You were holding up that.
No, I just was like, nobody had any questions, so I thought I'd just keep going on plants.
Is that an actual plant or a flower?
This is an orchid. This is an Oncidium orchid, which is not like the typical orchids that you see, like Phalaenopsis, right? They bloom for, 2 to 3 months, and they're really easy. Indirect light, 1 or 2 ice cubes a week. That's it. Everyone should try an orchid. Huh?
It looks like something that I'd be scared to death to bring into my house to ruin such a.
You sound like my neighbor. My neighbor gets orchids for gifts and she brings them over like that day. She's like, here, you gotta have this. I'm like, no, I'll take it when it's done blooming. She's like, no, I'm scared. I'm gonna kill it. No,
I've just seen some things. That's all.
Yeah, and when they're done blooming, you bring them to the store. I'll show you how to repot them. And if you have the right light conditions, they'll bloom again with a little fertilizer.
That's good to know.
I have a question. I heard a rumor that the ice cube trick isn't great for orchids, and that they don't like cold water. Is that?
So that it can be true. Most of our orchids are planted in moss. So the ice cube trick works great because it sits on top of the moss and, goes slowly melts into the plant. So by the time it gets into the plant, it's not freezing cold water. Bark, on the other hand, if your orchids are planted in bark, then I would highly recommend leaving a bucket of water on your counter overnight and then dipping your orchids in them, because the bark will never get wet enough.
Mm-hmm. And
we say
I was going to say, do you suggest misting them in between watering or no?
I don't. I don't. Unless you're in a greenhouse. If you have a humidifier running in the winter, in your house that typically will help your orchids. You can also put plants on a tray with rocks and add water to the tray and sit your plants on top of it. That'll create humidity. But typically spraying plants, unless they're in a greenhouse situation, is only going to cause for fungus and disease. It looks pretty.
Yeah, and it's fun.
Yeah, and it's fun to do. Air plants.
Uh-huh.
If anyone has any air plants, you can mist your air plants. Then you can put your little cute sprayer next to your air plants. All right.
Yeah.
So
Any,
I had a couple of questions. For example, when you pulled out the one plant and showed that it was root bound, I believe.
yes.
Well, you said it's time to replant. So how do you know what size to go to next?
Just 1 inch bigger. You just want to go 1 inch bigger, and you can pull the plant out. Let me see. Is this the one? Yeah. Once your plants, see, this one doesn't need to be repotted. This one's in pretty good shape. Where was that one? The pancake plant. That's this guy. Yes. When your roots get really all the way to the edge of the pot, then you want to break up the roots. This is hard to do over a computer, you know. You break up the roots and then just go 1 inch bigger in size.
And when you say break up, you mean just kind of mush it around a little bit?
Yeah, break the roots that are all busted together.
Does anyone else have a question before I ask yet another question and keep hogging the spotlight here?
Anyone have a plant that they're looking for that they can't find? No? Come on now. I don't believe you guys.
It's a shy group. People get shy on Zoom.
On Zoom? Why? You can totally hide and ask a question. Maggie, how many plants do you have in your bedroom?
57.
57.
She knew the number.
Yeah, I make them count.
Great. So
Maggie hasn't been sick in a year.
really?
Really?
So, that was going to be
Oh, look, a pilea.
a new question about, the benefits. We were going to talk about that, but I do have a question. So this is one of my daughter's plants. What did you say this is?
Yes, looks like a pilea.
It gets stuck sometimes.
Yep,
So far, it's been very easy, and
yes.
so we're very excited about that.
Same family as this.
Okay.
So you can add to the group. Pileas for you.
That's fair. Did you want to touch on the benefits? I know we were talking about, you said 57 plants. She hasn't been sick in a year. Do you want to talk more about that?
Yeah, I mean, houseplants, plants in general filter the air. So, the first reason I got a houseplant is because, my first apartment, I didn't have very nice furniture. I kind of had a collection of things and I didn't have anything to decorate with. And someone gave me a houseplant. I said, wow, I don't need much other than plants. I can just have more plants. And then I realized that the plants do the same thing as they do outside as they do inside. We buy furniture and rugs and things, right, that have chemicals, cleaners. We have chemical cleaners that things have been cleaned with or we clean with. There's formaldehyde and all kinds of things in your couch cushions when they're shipping. You ever unpack something and you're like, whew, let's wash that first. Yeah. So these plants filter all that out of the air, which is wonderful. And the more plants you have, the better it smells in your house. So you don't even have to burn candles.
And then, oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
The oxygen producing.
Yeah. They all produce oxygen. Oh, I got to put my mask back on. Hold on.
You can still hear.
You can still hear me, right?
Yeah.
You're good.
Okay.
Oh,
So-
Anna has a question.
Yeah. How does it make your house smell good? Like,
How does it make, well, so when I didn't necessarily believe this, but my husband said once the coronavirus started, I did have a lot of plants, but I didn't have as many as I told you in the beginning of this video. I didn't have 170. So as I started decorating the rooms, I did have them all in the basement, and then I was bringing them up and decorating rooms with all these plants. My husband would come home every night and be like, oh, is it just me or does it smell good in here? This smells really good in this room. It smells really good. It was just that the air was cleaner than before. It's not like they're, you know, they're not fragrant. Yes, there are some orchids that are fragrant. There are a few houseplants. They're not on the easy list that are fragrant, that actually bring a perfume into the air. But these just take all the bad things out of the air and release good oxygen. So they're just big filters. So that's what I mean by that.
Okay, thanks, Amy.
Yeah, well, you know, you ever go, how would I say this? I went to Alaska 2 years ago, and I'm used to being outside here, and I got out of the car where we were staying, and I took a deep breath, and I thought, the air has never smelled better anywhere other than here, you know, because they just have plants. There's nothing else there other than big bears.
How the bears?
So, you know, when you're breathing air that is around just more plants and less people and less cars and roads and things like that, they just, it's easier for them to filter the air, and it smells better.
So I'm thinking we have about 17, 18 minutes left.
Okay.
No, we had some people who were patiently waiting for me to let them in. I am so sorry. Did you want to do a quick, just a really quick overview of the 10 plants that you
Sure.
best?
No problem.
If anyone has come up with questions since
I
then.
should make everybody type in the answers.
Snake plant.
Snake plant. Woo!
I wrote it down, so
EZZ.
EZZ, yep.
EZZ. The first two plants that you can keep in your closet, right? They're we got a peace lily and a monstera.
With the holes that are not to be alarmed about.
Right, the abnormal plant. We have the rubber plant, Taniki. The blue star fern. Sorry, computer. The maidenhair fern, the drama queen. I need another hand here. Begonia, escargot. Philodendron Birkin. Peperomia raindrop. And the pancake plant.
Count more than 10.
Huh? More than 10? I don't know. Then we went over some other ones, but I'm happy to keep talking about any plants that you guys would like to know about. We didn't talk at all about succulents.
Oh, that's on my list. Thank you.
It's on your list? Okay, let me grab, hold on. Let me grab 2 succulents.
Pay attention, Justin. How pretty.
I'm back. Succulents. Okay, we have jade. We have Achevia or Echeveria, whatever people want to pronounce. How about this? Anyone seen this? Pickle plant. So succulents like a lot of sun. They only want to be watered when they are bone dry. So if they're in a little tiny pot like so, maybe every 2 weeks. Otherwise, 3 weeks, maybe a month, thorough watering, and then let them go. A succulent has a very succulent leaf. I'm like, where's the camera? Here it is. Let me show you this. So this leaf is nice and hard, right? But as we would be, if we didn't drink enough water, oh good. If we didn't drink enough water, our skin would get wrinkly and, you know, we'd feel dehydrated. The plants will do the same thing. So you can actually watch your succulents and say, oh, they're starting to look a little wrinkly. They need water. Water them and they'll perk back up. This guy here is probably one of the most popular succulents on the market. You probably see them in the food store. You see them everywhere. What people don't know about this plant is it gets really tall. So this will grow a stem and this little flower will stay on the end of the stem. So it'll look really wonky. If you want to keep the plant like this, you'll let it grow. Once it gets too tall, you'll cut the flower off and just stick it back in soil and you'll have this again. But it's not going to stay like this. It's like a constant rotation.
They're all different. Usually there's one like right. Oh, so cute.
Get in the back. No, I would rather not.
No,
We're talking about
that's not.
houseplants here.
There's not one on the door. And there's not. There's the gas cap one.
Do you feel that?
I don't honestly. Is there one on the remote?
Succulents.
The remote's in there.
Oh, so you can unlock the door like.
Sorry.
The car's so different than mine.
Yeah, sorry.
Then I'll ask
You
them
want to
to
try that
move,
again?
Todd.
Oh, I think it's actually, is it
Hopefully it's in
your
my
store, Amy?
Oh,
Is this customers in your store or is it one of our people?
it's not us.
Oh, I assumed you had customers coming through. Okay.
No, it's somebody on the
Yes,
call.
I apologize. Yeah, if you could all make sure you're muted unless you're asking a question.
Because
that
I
would be-
didn't hear you at all.
I'm sorry. I just assumed you had some customers and I was really
No. Maggie and Jen have those guys.
So I know there's a special type of almost like crushed rock or something they recommend you use for your succulents. Do you recommend that?
Okay, so everyone has a different position on potting soils, how to plant, what to plant in. We use potting soil, period. Just potting soil for all of our plants. We don't make you buy African violet soil and cactus soil and, you know, orchids are one thing. Orchids need to be in a moss or bark mix, but all other plants need to be in just potting soil. Unless you're taking a cactus that's 25 inches wide, putting it in a pot that's 4 foot tall, yes, then we'd want to add a little more drainage. As your plants get bigger, the bigger your plants are, the bigger pots you're going into, then you can add a little bit of pumice
It's a safety net.
and
Bottom line is
perlite.
that everything that turns a gig into a livelihood.
Excuse me, I'm just going to interrupt you and ask everyone, please, I'm trying to figure out how to mute everybody, but still learning. So if you could please, thank you. Sorry, Amy.
No, that's okay. So you can add perlite and like a pumice stone to your soil. I think it's like a 1 cup. So say you buy a 16-quart potting soil and you add 1 cup of perlite and 1 cup of pumice. You can mix that in as your plants get bigger. I would say that bigger than a 10-inch pot. Then you have to start worrying about changing the soil mixture up.
Got it. Okay.
Same thing with fertilizer. I'm a simple gardener. I don't need a plant tone and a bulb tone and a rose tone and a holly tone and you see all these different types of fertilizer. Buy an all-purpose plant fertilizer, and unless you have orchids, use that for everything.
Oh, good to know.
Don't get suckered into buying, a jade. Oh, you need this for jades. You need, there's a lot on the market, but it's really unnecessary. Anna, you had a question?
I've got you muted, I think, Anna.
Yeah, so I had 2 times I had the Acaveria plant.
Yeah.
I was a very new, like 2 years ago. I didn't know anything about the plants. So can you kill them by not watering them?
Sure. Yeah. Yes. I mean, they want water. You know, if you're all if you have trouble with watering, again, you gotta touch your soil. You're gonna touch your soil on top, see if it's dry. You're gonna look underneath your plant. You're gonna see if the soil in the holes of your pot looks dark brown or a light gray. Then you can see. Take this and set it into a plate of water, leave it there for 10 or 15 minutes and take it away. The plant will be watered enough. Okay.
Okay.
So with your succulents, that's probably the easiest thing. We just take a tray and sit all of them in it, walk away until the water goes down, and then put them all back where they go. But yes, if you don't water, these will get really shriveled and fall off.
Okay.
And,
Like
you
mushy?
know,
Like
and
mushy?
if they're mushy, that means too much water.
Okay.
Or
Okay.
you watered over the top and water sat in between each of these little leaves.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you
Okay.
so much, Amy.
You're welcome.
We have a few minutes left, and then I'd like to just get to some basic housekeeping stuff. 2 things I was curious about. What should we avoid as far as plants purchased, like when you go to Walmart or would you go? And also, what about bugs? I know. 2 minutes, go.
All right. So don't buy any plants with a neonicotinoid, which is hard pronunciation for me. A lot of the box stores still sell plants that are sprayed with a chemical that kill the honeybees. So you can look on the tags and see if that happens. We happen to be an organic nursery, so we don't believe in spraying chemicals at all. Yes, plant materials such as a jade. I have a jade at home that got mealy bugs. Okay, but I have rubbing alcohol. Rubbing alcohol in a little spray bottle on a succulent will get rid of any bugs, or with a little Q-tip. With your house plants, as long as you are aware of your plants, you can tell if you get a yellow leaf or there's something sticky hanging from your plant or something black or something white. Just be aware of that and then catch them when they're, yeah, you know, when the infestation hasn't taken over your whole plant. It happens. It can happen. It usually only happens when the plants are not happy. They're root bound. They're not getting the right water conditions. They're not getting enough sun conditions. But we can usually help you get rid of those without using chemicals.
So rubbing alcohol just straight. You don't have to dilute it?
Not on succulents. Don't do that on your other plants. Other plants, soap and water, a quarter thing of dish soap. Like, I don't know, I have Myers at home right now, just a quarter teaspoon of Myers in like a spray bottle or like a quart spray bottle. Shake it up with water, spray it on your plants. Once every 7 days. That'll help, but only if they have bugs. Don't do that. We don't want to be spraying. Remember, no spritzing.
We want to spritz so badly, don't we?
Yeah, I know. I know.
Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, just try not to buy a plant that looks, I mean, gosh, you got me on, I don't want to get started. Don't buy plants from box stores because they don't know how to maintain their plants. They get plants in and they sell them. They don't have to maintain them, and whatever dies, they get the money back on from the vendor. So it's a B grade plant. Support local, you know, and usually the people that you're buying it from, like a Back to Nature or any other local garden store, will be able to help you with your plants. We also transplant for free.
What?
Yeah.
Nice little service.
Yeah.
Who knew? I'm not wrapping it up per se, but I do want to
Okay.
just everyone on the call know, I'm not sure if you saw that Amy's also hosting a week from today, arranging flowers. and you pay a fee of $40, and with that you get an array of beautiful flowers and a vase, and then you get expert tips from Amy here, just like the Zoom call we're doing today, and she's going to show us how not to just mash your flowers in a vase and walk away, and then 3 days later when they're dead and you're sad, you throw them in the garbage. Amy's going to
I'm gonna get some help. Maggie's gonna help me with that class. She doesn't know it yet.
I
But
think, it's springtime. It's been a long year, a long winter. I myself am looking forward to going in and getting my flowers from you and bringing some beautiful colors and
yeah,
excitement into my place. So
happy.
I'll check it out. I think you should treat yourselves to a little bit of beauty inside. And also, it's going to last beyond just this flower, because you're going to walk away with expert tips on how to make them beautiful. I think it's a great
Yeah,
idea.
and then we have a class this summer too that you can go on a hike. We'll teach you how to pick flowers from nature and arrange as well.
Similar, but and you'll see those on our website. So I'm looking forward to that. But tomorrow, I know you said you wanted a cutoff of today, but I'm pushing it to tomorrow if I can, because I'd like to give people on this call a chance to check it out and consider signing up. That work for you? Now that I put you on the spot, can you do that?
Yeah. All right, we gotta pick a winner.
Yeah, we're gonna pick a winner. Two more things first. We got a nice evening briefing coming up on May 4th. It's landscape and design, where we're going to talk about how to create natural habitat in your yard. It's with a very experienced landscaper. I'm sorry, this is actually probably cutting into your stuff, Amy. I do apologize.
That's okay.
And then on May 23rd, our music festival is on. It's at Geralda Farms in Chatham Township. It's going to be socially distanced, yet it's going to be great. We had it last year when the pandemic was crazy, and we had everyone come in on a nice rainy day and spread out nicely. So this has been the rain permit, so there will be not any rain this time. So mark the calendar for May 23rd. Now, what Amy had just asked, which was, are we going to announce the winner of the Houseplant? Do you want to hold it up, Amy, while we announce the winner?
Okay.
Wait, let me make sure she's still on the call. Oh, I gave it away. It's a female. Oh, you are on the call. Okay, I don't know how to pronounce your name properly, but Carla Kuhner, Kuhner. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing. This is your lovely plant to pick up, compliments of Back to Nature Home and Garden. And if you want to send me an email, you can just type it right into the chat box. You know how I can, well, actually I have your information. I don't even need to get it from you. I can reach out to you on email. Congratulations. You have
Woohoo!
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I used to live right down the street from Back to Nature. So I used to love going.
Oh, well, Carla, we'll recognize you when you come in then.
Can't wait.
That's great. And Amy, how nice of you to donate that out to our attendees today. And I want to thank everyone joining us. I'm sure if you have any additional questions.
Yes. Anytime.
Hold on, I'm gonna mute. Okay, I've muted you all. I want to thank you for your time. I want to thank everyone for coming out. And Amy, certainly, we're so grateful that you were able to carve out some time to do this for us. It was really generous of your time. I think I muted you as well. Yeah, hold on.
I got it. How about that? Thank you. Thank you for having me. I look forward to, working with you guys some more. Go out, support the Great Swamp, get out there, do some great hiking.
Oh, hold on. I muted you again. I must learn my technology. I humbly apologize.
I'll just say thank you. Come out and support local garden centers. Take a walk in the Great Swamp. Enjoy all the lovely, I just had a wonderful hike and enjoyed all the lovely birds that were out there singing. It's spring. It's just get outside, do some planting, and then bring it inside.
Yay! Amy, thank you so
All
much.
right,
and
thank
to all
you.
of you. Hope to see you at our upcoming event as well.
Yes.
Everyone have a great rest of your Sunday.
All right, thank you. Bye now.
Bye, everyone.